Sleek, stylish, and now one of the best values in America. Just for a limited time, buy the Super NES Superset and get 5 complete Mario games standard.
Mario!
You'll find the Superset is like no other system. In performance, handling, and Mode 7 control, you'll get Super...
Today we are going to be discussing the launch of the SNES and some of the key aspects of the console that made it become so successful. Nintendo's Mode 7 graphics revolutionized SNES games. The Super Nintendo Entertainment System was the most popular video game console at the time. It changed the way we think about games and introduced us to some of our favorite titles like F-Zero and Star Fox for the first time. Nintendo's Mode 7 was an amazing technological achievement that ushered in a new era of gaming that still looks great today. One of the most impressive and defining features on the SNES, this mode allowed for detailed, pseudo-3D graphics that made games appear more realistic than ever before. What is Mode 7? The Super Nintendo Entertainment System has 8 graphic modes for displaying games on screen. Mode 7 allowed different effects, including altering the game's perspective. This was done by rotating and scaling the background layer. Games were able to appear to be rendered in 3 dimensions by changing the background layer into a 2D horizontal texture plane that gives up height for depth. What this achieved was a convincing pseudo-3D effect that made for an incredibly immersive experience that greatly enhances gameplay and makes you feel like you're playing through the game environment. A great example of this is Super Mario Kart, where you can see the background rotating and scaling based around where the player is driving. The floor sprite, which in this case is the track itself, is adjusted according to where the player is located. Mode 7 wasn't without limitations, however. It allowed developers to create unique and immersive gaming experiences despite the limited hardware capabilities. It could only be applied to backgrounds and not to sprites. Sprites are anything that does not rotate or scale with the background. This may include objects like fixed platforms. To get around this, sprites' rotations need to be pre-drawn. They also need to be drawn in a ton of different sizes to create the illusion of movement, especially as you approach. This is easily seen in racers such as F-Zero and Super Mario Kart. What's actually happening behind the scenes in Mario Kart is your character isn't actually moving. The track itself is moving. The different drivers that you drive past are actually just different sized sprites on the 2D plane. This is why it was called pseudo-3D. The importance of Mode 7 can't be understated. It helped Nintendo reclaim the crown from Sega. When the new console was first released in Japan, there were only 2 games available, the fast-paced racer F-Zero and the much-awaited Super Mario World. A key selling point of the SNES was the innovative graphics. Even some game critics at the time suggested the game design briefs were only there to showcase the new console's 3D-like graphics. The Sega Genesis, which was enjoying success with its Sonic series and many arcade game ports, was completely outclassed by the new technology, with Sega lacking a hardware equivalent of Nintendo's Mode 7. Despite Sega having a 2-year lead in 16-bit gaming, a lower selling price and massive library of games, the SNES would go on to sell nearly 50 million units worldwide, making it the best-selling video game console at the time. Let's look at the 2 titles that took advantage of these graphics and launched with the Super Nintendo. They helped catapult the system into the living rooms of gamers everywhere. Super Mario World was the best-selling game of the era. From its colorful sprites and classic soundtrack to its fun platforming gameplay, Super Mario World has remained one of the most beloved and iconic games of all time. It was released in 1990 alongside the Super Nintendo in Japan and came bundled with the new console in North America the following year. This 2D side-scrolling platform game was an immediate hit. Players loved its creative level design, power-ups, and were introduced to Yoshi for the first time. Widely regarded as one of the best titles on the SNES, Super Mario World continues to captivate gamers with its timeless appeal and replayability that keeps it among the greatest games of all time. The other title is F-Zero, a game that launched with the new Super Entertainment System. Pioneering the futuristic racer genre, F-Zero delivered immersive graphics with intense tracks and challenging gameplay that played a large role in shaping racing games in the future. By leveraging the power of Mode 7's graphics with impressive track design and balanced game mechanics, F-Zero provided fun, fast-paced racing with a sense of depth and fluid movement that felt like you were blasting through large pseudo-3D tracks full of insane twists and turns. The game was a huge success and spawned sequels on the Nintendo 64, GameCube, and Game Boy Advance. Be sure to subscribe for those upcoming reviews in the future. Other notable games that use Mode 7: Final Fantasy V and VI, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario World 1 and 2, A Link to the Past, Pilot Wings, and Kirby Superstar. What's worth noting is Kirby Superstar was one of the last games released on the SNES platform in March 1996, right before the debut of the Nintendo 64. These are some of my favorites, and there were many other great games that used Mode 7. Using Mode 7 did not ensure a game's success though. You can see that here, with my review of Jurassic Park, which will be linked in the cards above. In conclusion, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System was an incredible achievement in gaming technology and culture. It brought us some of our all-time favorite games. The Super Nintendo was a global success and remains one of the most timeless gaming consoles ever. Its impressive graphics are a huge part of why these games are timeless and still very much playable today. They're not only fun to play, but they also bring back memories of when video games were first becoming a mainstream phenomenon. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to subscribe and like the video. Check out some of the other content on the channel, or leave a comment below for something you'd like to see me cover.